Hello and welcome. In this video I'm reassembling or assembling for the first time in some components cases my vintage cruiser bike. Now I'm having an awfully difficult time identifying this bike. When I first got it, it was just a pile of parts basically. Well, not a pile I guess, but there wasn't much to it, as you can see. And having sat outside all winter as an attraction for an antique shop, well, the paint and what was left of the chrome had not done well. And as you can see here, the handlebar stem and handlebar are out of sync with the fork. Not sure why somebody thought that was a good idea back in the day, but they did. At any rate, once I got this bike into the stand and started working on it, I realized it's actually pretty well built. It's very solid. I mean, back in the day, they built these things to last. It is a steel frame, not a surprise given the fact that it probably predates me, and I was born in 1960. But I cannot identify it. There is no serial number or anything like that engraved on like the dropouts or the seat tubes or any place that I could find. However, there is a data plate underneath the bottom bracket, and I am pretty sure that what little bit of paint is flaked off has revealed model number. So I'm trying to figure out a way to remove this paint without necessarily destroying what's underneath. I'm going to be very careful with that just in case it happens to be screen printed rather than engraved. But it's not going anywhere, so I've got time. And at the end of the day, it's a really good bike. It went together quite well, as you will see shortly. Most of what follows is pretty self-explanatory, and you don't need me blathering on throughout the whole thing, so I'll do you a favor, and I won't. I will step in a couple of times if there's something that I really want to point out. Otherwise, here we go. This is one of those things that I wanted to point out. I apparently am not the only person in this bike's history who had trouble with the seized lock nut on the crankset. If you look around the edges here, you can see where it's rounded off on a couple of faces. Now, it is still usable, and I did in fact use it, but I'm going to hunt around and see if I can find something that's a little less beat up, if you catch my drift. I installed the chain off camera because, frankly, I forgot to turn the camera on. Now the seat post, I had to install it upside down because none of my clamps fit that little skinny bit. So I don't have a huge amount down inside the tube, so I may look around for something a little longer. But in the meantime, this cleaned up really nicely with a wire wheel. And this saddle chronologically does not fit with the rest of the bike. It's a Veta saddle. It came from a 1980s Colnago racing bike. I think the kind of beat up white goes well with the rest of the bike. I really am pleased with this build. Now I know I say that about every bike that I build, and it is largely true. I love the way this bike looks. It's got that vibe going. But the thing is, I've got two rigid mountain bikes already. I don't need a single speed rigid mountain bike. So I went with the not exactly restoration route, but the way I describe it is I did a clean and polish and ride build. And I tell you, this thing is fun. It is really fun. I took it to work today, and it climbs pretty well once you get going, and as long as the grade is not too steep. Now, I'm remembering now when I was a kid and I had a big old Schwinn similar to this. We lived at the top of a very long hill. We loved bombing down that hill. We weren't content to coast. Heck no. We were 12 years old. We were standing on those pedals going for all we were worth. Helmet? What's a helmet? Anyway, I mention all that because this bike brings back those memories. One memory I had forgotten is how long it takes a bike like this to stop. I think part of it might be that I need to clean and repack the hub. I may do that later. For the time being, I just gave a couple shots of deep creep into the filler port to sort of loosen up the grease that's in there. Well, again, I love this bike. This is a keeper, absolutely a keeper. And just for fun, because I name all my bikes, usually after characters from Norse or Irish mythology. Well, there's also Gojira, my mountain bike. But this didn't seem like it had that kind of a vibe going. It's more of a laid-back, easy-going cruiser bike thing. So I named it the Big Redbowski. Yeah, that's right, the Big Redbowski. The bike abides. I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, there's a link to a playlist for this bike, lower left. And there's a link to another video, lower right, which I hope you will enjoy. And in the meantime, I really am grateful for your viewing. I appreciate that each and every time you do. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful day. Bye.